Welcome to the garage and back to your nightly crypto recap. Before we touch a single chart, we pause. Today, Charlie Kirk was taken from us. A husband, a father, a friend to so many. The pain his wife and kids are carrying tonight, it's heavier than we can fathom. Lord, wrap his wife in strength when the nights feel like they'll break her. Hold his children tight when the questions cut deep. Give his friends the courage to carry his light forward and cover them all with a peace that defies understanding. From this garage, we honor his life and we lift up his family in prayer. This is who we are, crew, a family that holds tight to faith and respect. Okay, Garage Gang, now let's get to work. Crew, tonight the block is hot. We got a full tank of news, whales stacking heavy, AI breakthroughs hitting the street, the Fed's tone revving the macro motor, and the charts throwing signals left and right. And yeah, I know what you're really waiting on. Christian's trench picks, the money spot. We'll get there. But first, we got to wrench on some gears and lay the groundwork. And yo, before we dive in, smash that like, hit that follow. We're building this garage one follower at a time, and this crew doesn't run without you. Let's grow this pit team, let's spread this energy, and let's ride together. All right, let's get under the hood with the big picture. Time for the pit crew briefing. Pit crew briefing, executive roll-up, straight from the pit. Here's the big rig roll-up. Macro, the Fed's got a 25 basis points, 0.25% rate cut near locked for September. 10-year treasury yields at 4.07%, giving risk assets like crypto a tailwind. But oil spikes and China-Taiwan ship tariffs could spark an inflation rebound. CTAs, algorithmic trend funds, are max long, so a shock could send them skidding out. Crypto, wheels are quietly stacking. New wallets with 1,000 BTC or 10,000 ETH popping up. Bitcoin exchange traded funds. That's ETF, a fund you can buy like a stock to track Bitcoin's price. Got steady inflows. In this garage, we break it down so you understand how it works. ETFs are like a turbocharger for crypto demand. Stablecoin supplies climbing with $200 billion sidelined, ready to flood in. September token unlocks. $4.7 billion worth are a hazard window. Equities and AI, big dogs, Nvidia, Broadcom, Oracle, Microsoft are hauling stock indexes higher. AI crypto tokens lagging hard because the market's calling their utility bluff. Geo Middle East oil shocks, tariff ore salvos, and whispers of a US strategic Bitcoin reserve keep the track slick. That's the big picture, crew. Now let's check the fuel lines. What's powering this beast? Fuel lines, flow gauges. Time to check the gauges, fam. Bitcoin ETFs are pulling net inflows. BlackRock's IBIT is leading the pack, and Ethereum ETFs are catching up, hinting at a rotation. Stablecoin market caps up, Binance is printing, and $200 billion is sitting on the sidelines, ready to flood the track. On-chain, BTCs leaving exchanges for mid-tier and whale wallets. That's a supply squeeze brewing. Tripwires, hot CPI or PPI surprise, or an oil surge means hedge up. Bitcoin or Ethereum ETF outflows for 2+ days, de-risk. CTAs flipping levels in ES or NQ futures, that's risk-off city. Fuel's flowing, but the track's got bumps. Let's scope out September hazards next. Crew, September is a minefield. Between September 15th and September 20th, a flood of token unlocks is hitting the market. We're talking SUI, Arbitrum, Aptos, Ethena, Layer 0. Together, that's about $4.7 billion worth of fresh supply dropping into circulation. And here's why it matters. When that much new supply hits the market all at once, it creates selling pressure. Prices can dip, even on strong projects, simply because there's more inventory to move. Best play? Hedge with stables, stagger your entries, and don't try to time the whole wave in one shot. Now, on top of that, the Federal Reserve meets on September 17th. A quarter-point cut is already expected. But the cut itself isn't the story. The tone is. If Jerome Powell comes out sounding tough on inflation, markets could spin out fast. If he stays dovish, it's green lights for risk assets. Hazards mapped, crew. Now let's shift gears and see what's flashing on the heat map. Here's what's hot. Whales are stacking. Big wallets are quietly buying more Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's long-term strength. Ethereum ETFs are growing. More money is flowing into Ethereum through Wall Street's exchange-traded funds. Solana's got momentum. It's holding strong and still pushing higher. Here's where we gotta be cautious. CTAs, commodity trading advisors, are max long. Translation, these big algorithm funds are already fully loaded on the bullish side. That's fine when things are calm, but if the market turns, they all have to sell at once. That's how you get an amplified drop. AI stocks are crushing it, but AI crypto tokens aren't. Nvidia, Oracle, and the other big AI names are raking in cash. while AI tokens in crypto are still just hype with no real use cases showing up. Red flags on the board, tariffs and oil spikes. If trade wars heat up or oil jumps again, that pushes inflation back up. Higher inflation equals more trouble for markets. Signals are lit, but we ain't playing without a plan. Reserve chatter. There's talk about the US government actually holding Bitcoin as part of its reserves. That would be huge validation long term. Ising machines and CIM tech. These are new types of computing, kind of like stepping stones between traditional chips and quantum computers. Early days, but worth watching. This could shape the future of AI and crypto infrastructure. This AI's revving up, crew. Let's break it down simple. DeepSeek just dropped their V3.1 MOE model. That stands for Mixture of Experts. What's that mean? Picture the garage. Instead of one big motor doing all the work, you've got a whole rack of engines. But here's the trick. You don't fire them all at once. You only kick on the cylinders you need for the job. That saves fuel, saves wear, and still gives you horsepower when you need it. That's the edge. Cheaper to run heavy AI workloads without burning out the engine. Then there's GPT-5. It's rolling out with a monster context window. Basically, it can handle huge chunks of data all at once, way more than before. Think of it like throwing a whole service manual at the engine and it doesn't even blink. Reads it, processes it, keeps revving. On the hardware side, Nvidia and TSMC are playing supply chain chess. Nvidia keeps ordering chips, TSMC keeps fabbing them, all while regulators throw wrenches in the gears. It's a delicate game to keep the pipeline flowing. Meanwhile, SMCI is dropping liquid-cooled systems. That's infrastructure moonshot territory. They're building the radiators and coolant lines that keep these AI rigs from overheating while they're redlining at max torque. AI's got torque, no doubt. It's fueling equities because the cash flow is real. But in crypto, tokens gotta prove utility. It's not enough to slap AI on the hood. You gotta show the car can run laps, not just rev in the showroom. AI's got the turbo spooled, but now let's shift gears to the real motor that drives everything. PPI and CPI, the macro engine. PPI and CPI, the macro motor PPI, the producer price index, is the cost of parts at the factory. If PPI runs hot, it means those parts are getting expensive. And sooner or later, that pushes up CPI, the consumer price index, the sticker price you and I pay. If PPI runs cool, it means parts are cheaper. Inflation pressure stays low, and the Fed can keep the gas on. Right now, job growth is weak. Non-farm payrolls added only 22,000 jobs, and the 10-year Treasury yield is parked around 4.07%. The market's betting the Fed cuts rates by a quarter point. But if CPI comes in hot tomorrow, that could lock in a half-point cut instead. Soft numbers are the green light. Hot numbers are the yellow flag. Plain talk. PPI is the price of bolts and steel. If bolts cost more, the car's sticker price goes up later. Cool PPI means cheaper parts, and the Fed eases the brakes. Hot PPI is oil on the track. Fed stomps the brakes. Macros set. Now let's get technical. Time for the charts. And big props to Lulu, our pig in the pit, wrenching the TA like a pro. All right, crew, let's check the gauges. Bitcoin is sitting around 113.9. Support's down at 113.2. If we lose that, we slide to about 112.4, maybe even 112 flat. On the flip side, break through 114.6, and it's a straight shot to 115.4 and then 116. If I were a leverage trader, not saying you are, I'd be looking at an entry near 113.3, exit around 114.6, stop just under 113.2. Ethereum's parked at 4,396. Support is 4,360. Lose that, and we could skid back to 4,320, even 4,280. But if we push over 4,460, the lane opens to 4,500 plus. Entry around 4,370, exit near 4,460, stop under 4,350. Solana's holding near 225. Support's at 222. Break that, and we drift toward 218. Resistance at 227, take that out, and it can rip to 232 fast. Entry near 223, exit around 227, stop just under 221. Cardano's clocking in at 83 cents. Support sits at 82. If that cracks, we slide to 80 flat. Push above 89 cents, and it's clear road to 93. Entry near 82, exit around 89, stop below 82. That's your map. Straight, simple, where the lines are, where the highway opens, and where the skid outs happen. And remember, the head of technical analysis in this garage is Lulu. And if you didn't know, Lulu is a pig, 4 hooves, a snout, and a curly tail. Nothing you hear in here is financial advice. We share the gauges, the trenches, the flow, but the throttle's in your hands. Now the part you have been waiting for, follow me. Now let's step down into the trench. Picture it like old Vegas. You push through the doors of a smoky casino. The air smells like stale cigarettes and watered down gin. Cocktail waitresses with tired smiles shuffle by, balancing trays like they've done it for 30 years. The dealers sit under dim neon, their eyes hollow like the soul got sucked out years ago. And here you are, chips in hand, staring down the wheel. You've got two choices, red or black. It's double or nothing, and the spin happens fast. That's what the trench is. This isn't clean Wall Street. This is dirty water. Tokens spin like roulette balls, and you either hit or you bust. If you don't have the right tools, you shouldn't even sit at the table, but if you do, you might just catch a heater. Tonight's table had three zombies shuffling out of the dark. Bonk on Solana, old dog 60% off the highs, still howling on the big floors. Pudgy penguins on Solana, waddling in, dripping NFT clout. Down almost half, but still dancing in billion-dollar shoes. That's the one the pit whispers about as the revival play. Brett on base, high roller, with all the chips in a few insider pockets. Dealers shake their heads. You can win big here, but odds are the house takes it back fast. And the fresh plays? They're like newcomers staggering into the casino, still smelling of fresh paint. Fractal on Solana. 15 hours on the floor, AI chatter in its veins, a little crowd starting to gather around the table. UOMI on base, barely half a day old, meme juice on its breath. Dealers dealing fast and sloppy. Unibase on base, the wild one. 14 hours alive, already ran 15,000% like some drunk, pulling the slot handle and hitting cherries. Could crash back just as hard, but for now, the crowd's piling chips high. We even slid a couple of safer picks onto the side table if you're just dipping a toe, but let's be real, you'll probably still lose your money. That's the nature of the trench. You walk in with your SOL or your ETH, push it out on the felt, and it's spin the wheel time. Double or nothing, baby. Lulu's TA's locked crew. And one last thing before we roll out. The head of technical analysis in this garage is Lulu. And if you didn't know, Lulu is a pig. 4 hooves, a snout, and a curly tail. Nothing you hear in here is financial advice. We're just sharing the smoke, the noise, and the tables of the trench. The throttle's in your hands. Crew, tonight we honored a man we lost. And in this garage, people will always be more important than price charts. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, they'll rise and fall. But a life taken too soon is permanent. No matter what side of the aisle you stand on, this was just wrong. The market's still a Grand Prix. The track's fast, the turns are sharp, and we've got no room for autopilot. But remember, the garage is about more than money. It's about respect, about family, about life. Eyes on the gauges, hands on the wheel. From this garage, with love and prayers to a grieving family, we drive on.